How's everyone doing? It's me, CR Talks. Well, it is now. It wasn't. Yes, there's been a few changes you'll notice with the icon. I just can't be arsed changing the rest of it for now, but I'll get down to it. I'm notoriously lazy. Anyway, we'll get into this video. So, yes, I am actually a Chelsea fan. I mean, there's been no evidence so far in my channel that has revealed this. So this channel is more going to be dedicated to Premier League football. I plan on doing this. I plan on doing my own little mini series with Chelsea where I discuss, individual transfers or match reviews. However, in other points, I will just look at the Premier League as a whole and maybe do a roundup or maybe some transfer news, just in a general basis. Funnily enough, the first thing that's majorly going to happen in the Premier League this season will be the Community Shield, and it does start Chelsea versus Manchester City, which is actually on day of recording tomorrow. So I'm really excited for this game. I'm very excited into this game, and the first thing I'd like to do is discuss both managers coming into this game. So let's get into that. Looking at both managers coming into this game in kind of a tail of the tape kind of context, it's hard to really talk about Guardiola. I mean, there's very few things he hasn't won in football. He's obviously I would say, the most impressive manager in the Premier League with the way he can play football. I don't think that he is a manager that can get the best out of any team in the Premier League. However, teams that he can, that are set up for him, and in his specific way, he can make the best out of anyone else. But I mean, you've seen this season and last season with how good Man City were. First season they struggled a tiny bit. I put that more down to maybe personnel. I don't really think it was acclimatising to the league, but you never know. It does, sometimes people do take longer than others. He didn't. He's a manager that does. He requires the fullbacks to be what he desires, and the likes of Zabaleta and Sanya and Kolarov don't really have the required pace to play a high line system, which he prefers. But now that he has that, his team look almost unstoppable and look likely to go on and win back-to-back Premier League titles. But there's not a lot else you can say about Guardiola. I mean, the new Chelsea boss. What could I say? Models game. They're both very good friends. They met over somewhere there and went to Arrigo Sacchi's house. Oh no, they didn't. They went out for dinner, the both of them, and they both have a very good relationship from what's seen. They both greatly respect each other, and they both play exciting brands of football. But Sarri's a bit more unknown. He never really had a playing background. He only played Sunday football, from what I've seen. He never played in a professional team, and he worked his way up the Italian ranks from Serie D to Serie C to Serie B with Empoli, who he got promoted into Serie A, and then moved to Napoli, where he wasn't highly rated. Even Diego Maradona came out and kind of publicly slandered him, saying he didn't really know who he was and maybe he wasn't the best suited. And after a couple of games, that was looking to be correct for Napoli, but he managed to turn it around, and it was good for him in the time that he done it, because the person who owns Napoli, De Laurentiis, is notoriously he's very straight to the point and blunt, and he'll just tell you, look, this is what's happening, and he can publicly criticise you in the media. That's how mental the Italian game is compared to over here in the UK, where that kind of stuff doesn't happen. The only time is when maybe Mourinho might have jabs at other managers. Nothing like that is seen frequently. That's it, and you don't even see owners talking to the fans. It doesn't really happen, especially in the case of these two clubs, where Roman Abramovich and Sheikh Mansour have both been very quiet. Obviously, have invested a lot of money into it and fund their teams appropriately, but they're not going to come out and do press. Well, they wouldn't do press conferences, but they haven't really talked to the fans, and neither of their the people they employ to do the day-to-day runnings of the club. But back to the manager in Maurizio Sarri. He's very intriguing. the brand of football that he plays is very exciting, and me being a Chelsea fan, I'm very excited to see this season, and I think he will do well. I don't think. I mean, anything can happen in the Premier League, which is why it's probably the best league in the world. Well, yes, it is the best league. Not for the most competitive. You'll probably find small leagues around the world where it's a lot more competitive, where any team can technically win it. This in here, there's only maybe 3 or 4 teams that can potentially win it every year. Chelsea being one of them, and I don't, maybe, like I say, you can never say never as a fan, but I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't. However, what you will see from Chelsea this year is a vast improvement of style and how they actually play football, basically, since Antonio Conte has left, who was definitely more of a pragmatic coach. Sarri will bring, what will Sarri bring? Definitely a more exciting brand of football, and this fixture last year would have been a bit of a snore, both at the Bridge and at the Etihad. This fixture was just Man City 70% of the ball, especially the one at the Etihad, which was just embarrassing as a Chelsea fan to watch that. That was not fun, which is with how Chelsea played with fear. It was basically playing with fear, suffer ball as they call it, Chelsea fans, as Antonio Conte would always say before in the press conferences before the match. We have to suffer without the ball, which is something that Sarri does not promote. And we've already seen players that Conte maybe didn't rate shine in pre-season. You know, players like Hudson-Odoi is apps. He's going to be crucial for this match, in my opinion. He could really shock Man City, and if they're not playing a well-established right back in Walker or Danilo, he can cause them trouble, definitely. But Man City's team is laced with quality; they could cause Chelsea trouble easily. But now I think we'll move into the portion where we predict the lineup. So this would be my Chelsea lineup for the match. I went for Chelsea first simply because, you know, they're my team. So beginning off, I went with Caballero in goals. Now Courtois he's not, wasn't, I think he was, he might leave, he might not leave, but what I can say right now is he's not back at the club yet, and Caballero will start more than likely. Maybe Balka has impressed, who is our youth team goalkeeper. He's impressed in pre-season, but I think Sarri will stick to his guns and go Caballero, especially since if it goes to penalties, he is the penalty master. Right back, I think Azpilicueta will keep his spot. Relatively solid in the pre-season games against Arsenal. Well, he's only played did he play the full game? I think he got, I'm trying to recall, he played Arsenal. He hasn't played Milan. But I think Sarri has seen him as somewhat of a high-size replacement at Napoli, where Azpilicueta is an upgrade on high-size in the sense that he's better at actually defending one-on-one. He's one of the best one-on-one defenders I've seen. But he's not as effective at attacking in high-size run at exactly that either. He would more attack down the left-hand side with Gulam. And speaking of the left-hand side, we have Alonso, who I think Sarri will persist with, but I think it will get to the point where the superior left back and Emerson is. I think Emerson has the ability to at least beat a man and the pace to be able to play that role, whereas Alonso always strikes me as a bit lanky and doesn't really do much with the ball. Brilliant at set pieces, probably the best asset of his game, and was a player that played well in a niche system under Antonio Conte last season and the season before, even though I could argue that last season he was exposed a bit more. And the centre-back partnership will more than likely be Rudiger and Lees. He did choose to sub off that pair during the Arsenal game. I believe he does. He likes them. He likes them because they're very good ball players. Luiz is a great ball playing centre-half along with Rudiger. And they both have the pace to play that system. I don't know if he rates Christensen just yet. I hope he does, because I'd say Christensen is probably our most promising centre half. But for now, this isn't my team per se. This is just what I think Sarri will go for. And in that Regista DM role, we have Jorginho, who has to start if he's the reason that our system ticks. He's like when we played the 3-4-3 under Conte in our first year, and Kante played in that two-man pivot. If Kante didn't play, Spurs would have won the league that year, because a player like him playing in a two-man midfield is very crucial, and I think all of our success will come down to Jorginho. He's just so astute and assured on the ball. He knows what he's doing every time. He's got 20/20 hindsight and foresight. As it happens, he's just an all round player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes one of Chelsea fans' most beloved players. Even from what I've seen in pre-season, he's outshone everyone in that squad with the exception of one man, but we'll get to him a little bit later. And the role that N'Golo Kante I think will play when he comes back from the tour, we'll put Drinkwater. Now Fabregas could play, but Sarri hinted at him potentially having an injury and he's not sure. So to be safe, I put Drinkwater. I think Drinkwater would be the replacement. Do you know, Drinkwater's a player he's would I say he's underrated? I think he gets a lot of hate, but he doesn't really do anything wrong per se. He's just kind of there. He's actually kind of like a James Milner-esque, but I'd say Milner maybe brings more to the team. Drinkwater's just a good stopgap player, and he plays it well. He has a good range of passing. I don't know if he'll stay this season. I think he'll definitely leave by the end of next season, because I doubt he'll get much game time with the returning N'Golo, and maybe Bakayoko being ahead of him in any way, or if there's a new player being brought in, maybe Vicino from Inter Milan. I can see his days being numbered. And then the final role, we have Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley, I think, will simply just play because he's more fit than Loftus-Cheek after having his break after the England campaign. I'd say Loftus-Cheek is probably better playing that position, but Barkley's adequate. He's a good enough backup. He's somewhat of a goal threat. He's been a bit more. The correct description of how he's been playing recently is more safe. He hasn't tried anything, and when he does, it doesn't always come off. So I think he's been told by Sarri to just keep it simple, get to the basics first, which is fine. But I think someone like Loftus-Cheek is more assured, and I think he's better at playing that final pass. And I hope he does come in for the remainder of the season. And Barkley is dropped to the bench, but for this game I see Barkley. On the right wing we have Pedro, who has had a mini kind of renaissance under Sarri, where he's been playing quite well. I don't think he'll start for the season, but Willian isn't back and a new player isn't being purchased as of yet. Potentially Wilfred Zaha, maybe yes, maybe no, but Pedro's a good backup. Pedro's a fine player, a very inconsistent player, but if Sarri can make him a bit more consistent and just get him back to the first Conte season where he was at least a bit more impactful than last season where he was just a ghost, very happy to see him, and I'm happy to see him play for this game. Happy to see all these players, because when it comes down to the Community Shield, it's not overly important. I'd like to win it, as any fan would like to win any kind of silverware, and that's what I'm hoping for. But Pedro's fine. Pedro's fine, and the man on the left wing entices me a lot more in Callum Hudson-Odoi, who is a player that is just absolutely blowing me away, and blew away a lot of fans. I watched Arsenal Fan TV after the game, and DT and Troops and Claude and those guys and Robbie were talking about Hudson-Odoi absolutely ruining Bellerin's night, and he really did. He played great. He had him on the back foot the full game, and he won us the penalty, which the man up front, Morata, did miss. But I think he's been our star player this tournament. And finally up front we have Morata, who it will stay. He's staying now that you don't change your numbers in the last few days before you get sold. It doesn't happen. I'll give it down to the fact that it's pre-season. I don't want to judge him too quickly, but let's just say I wasn't impressed with the Arsenal game, and I wasn't entirely impressed with any of the games he's played. I think his best game was Inter, but even then he missed a couple of chances. Even though he done very well for the only goal of the match, him missing the penalty hasn't helped his confidence. But I'm hoping that he has the strength of character to be able to turn it around and ensure Sarri that he can lead the line. And it's not the end of the world if he doesn't, because if that's the case, then we have Batshuayi. Right, and this is the Man City lineup for this game. Now, full disclaimer, I'm not a Man City fan, and this squad is somewhat based off of a good friend of mine's anticipations for this game. So I'll leave a link to his Twitter in the description. If there's any Man City fans watching this, he's not a bad guy to follow. There's some decent polls and threads. But this is the team that he said he expects. Now, he says that Guardiola is somewhat erratic with his choices. And looking at this, I was confident with Chelsea, but now I'm not, because he's saying that this will be their team, and this is maybe one player away from a full strength team, and I would say this team already is good enough to win the league. And start with Ederson, who in the system that he plays is probably the best keeper in the league, with what he can do, with how much Man City's football relies on a ball playing goalkeeper. Well, no, it's just a sweeper keeper. That's probably the better way to put it. I think De Gea is probably the best at shots to open. I'd say Courtois is probably the best at handling, probably. I mean, that guy's like a basketball player. Honestly, the ball just sticks to his hands. But Ederson, with what Man City want to achieve, is great. I didn't know who would play right back, and I said that Hudson-Odoi would rip him, and now I'm slightly worried, but Hudson-Odoi could still do well against Walker. In the absence of Hazard, he'll add something a bit different. Walker, Stones, Otamendi, Mendy, all solid enough. It'll be great to see Mendy. Great to see that if his Twitter words can back up how good of a player he is. And I hope he's good, because it means that there's actually a really good left back in the Prem, and it's not like Marcus Alonso or Ashley Young winning player of the season anymore. Player of the season in the team of the season at the left back position. Otamendi and Stones. Otamendi is definitely improved, and Stones isn't their starter. Is it not Company when he's not injured? But Stones is still very decent. Likes of Fernandinho playing that role, crucial to Man City and how they play football. I'm running out of stuff to say, because there's just quality all over that pitch. He says that both David Silva and Bernardo Silva will start. If it is without a Kante-esque player to stop them in the midfield, I'm getting quite upset, because I don't expect that Jorginho will be able to weather the storm, and I don't think Drinkwater is that kind of player either. I did know that Pep was saying that he thinks that Mahrez could start this game in his press conference from today, either today or yesterday. It would have been yesterday. He said that Mahrez could start this game, him on the right wing and Sané on the left. Apparently Sané, once again, just pure sauce, honestly, and the likes of Aguero, who's probably the most underrated striker in the Premier League in that regard. I think maybe Man City could get a striker that maybe complements him a wee bit better, but there's very few better than Aguero in his alertness, and I can't really say anything more. What I will say is I don't plan on dissecting the teams as much as this in future reviews if I ever do any Premier League's predictions. Like if I do Chelsea versus Huddersfield for the kick-off to the season, I don't plan on doing a Huddersfield XI. It's just this game fascinates me so much that I want to see, and I don't have any Huddersfield Town friends who can help me. I have an Arsenal friend, I have a Liverpool friend, I have somewhat of a Man United friend, and I have no one that supports Spurs. I'm happy to do cross exercise for them, but when it comes to the lower teams, I can't help you, because it's gonna sound stupid, because I have really no clue about Huddersfield, and I don't want to say who's the most informed player. I could look at stats and watch match of the day, but it won't give you a good grasp, and quite frankly I think some of you would find it a bit boring. But that is it. And that is the teams. And now looking at that team and how confident I was feeling before this, I would have said that Chelsea will nick it 2-1. Now, if I'm being realistic, I think Man City will probably win. But my prediction is 2-2 full time, and it goes straight to. Does it go straight to penalties this competition? If it doesn't, fine. If it does, penalties, and I'll say Man City win it. I'll say Man City win it. If I'm using my head, but in my heart I want Chelsea to win. It's so hard to call this because Man City have got a better team by far, but the fan inside of you. Yeah, I'll go. Do you know what? I'll just say Chelsea win on penalties, because penalties is the fairest way to decide this match, in my opinion. But this might be completely wrong, and Man City could batter us, or vice versa. Who knows? I don't know if Pep will go this strong, and if he does, it's just unfair. But you know, maybe Saturday might surprise us and maybe start a Willian or something like that, which I don't see happening. I think Chelsea's defence is as good as it's going to get. I just think that it's weird to say, but just one midfielder away in Kante and Hazard and Courtois, and we'd have a full strength 11, pretty much. But those players are such big difference makers. I mean, I know De Bruyne is in that regard, but David Silva's great as well. There's an abundance of quality in Man City. But yeah, I think this will wrap this up. This is a very long video, and this is just because I'm just starting. I'd like to make them shorter, and maybe I could do a match preview in one and a lineup in another. Plus, if I'm only doing one team and only dissecting how Chelsea are playing, if it's smaller teams, I can definitely do that. But I've greatly enjoyed this. I'd like to hear some feedback in the comments below. Like I said, I'll link my friend's Twitter in the description. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll try and do this more frequently, since it's something that, I mean, it's time consuming to make these videos, as I've found out, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it at the same time, so I'd like to consist. So I'll try and get a video out for Huddersfield, and I'll try and get a video out for transfer deadline day and see if there's any last signings, and I'll rate some signings, hopefully. But yeah, drop a like, subscribe, and I want to hear some feedback, and I want to hear your guys' predictions. I'll leave my Twitter in the description as well. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and peace out.